Hey everyone, welcome to the garden that is Send Us Flowers, where we only curate the best vibes. I'm your host, Busy, and I am super stoked to be doing a solo pod with you all today. I wanted to just hop on and talk about how weed is portrayed on TV shows and movies. Because the other night I was watching that 90s show, and by the way, it's so cute. It was so nostalgic. I loved watching that 70s show when I was growing up. I'm sure a ton of other people did too. And you know, I had kind of like mixed feelings at first. You never know when it's a reboot. And like, I have a little bit of some trust issues when it comes to that because especially, you know, I don't know if all reboots have been done super well. But for all my audio listeners, I was smoking a little bit of a joint. I definitely forgot an ashtray though, so I'm just gonna ash into this candle and we're just gonna pretend that we didn't do that. So I loved that 70s show. It's really fun. This reboot has been pretty fun to watch. I will say there's definitely a disconnect between like all the old characters and Red and Kitty and the new characters. I feel like they aren't, you know, as established. And I feel like there could have been like more character development on that side. But it was really funny. Like a lot of the writing is super funny. I also thought there was some disconnect in how weed was portrayed. So first you have Tommy Chong.
Halloween snuck up on me again. Hey, listen, I don't have any candy, man. But I do have some matches and a parking ticket from 1975.
Who is such an amazing actor. He's been, you know, doing this for so many years. I have been able to work with him. It was such an honor and such a, you know, like, I mean, that's it's one of the coolest things. I have to be real. So I, you know, have seen him in action and I would honestly love to know if he was a part of the writing because his character, like that's so home to kind of who he is. And I just think that he really gives, you know, a kind of a truer representation of how it feels to smoke and be someone who smokes weed. It's a little dramatized, of course, but compared to how it's done when the kids smoke and the girl comes upstairs to get snacks and Red and Kitty sit her down and she starts, you know, seeing them as the Donkey Kong game.
Are you okay?
Want to be your friend. You are smart and charming. In fact, you deserve a cookie.
I just was like, this is so much more of like an acid trip. This is so like trippy, and weed is very sensationalized in that way. And someone actually, I posted the question on Instagram and I really appreciate everyone who answered in the stories. Someone did say, let me pull it up. Alex, I think. Yeah, so Canna say hi, Alex, hi. She said that I feel like the real effects of weed aren't cool enough to be sensationalized, reefer madness. And so I totally agree. I think that there, you know, was a lot of sensationalism in like the depiction of how they felt when they smoked weed. Because I mean, I've definitely been super smacked before, but I've never had like visions or, you know, been more tripped out as I have been on other substances.
If any of those kids give you guff, I will grab them by the back of their collar and toss them into next week.
Jonna Pem, I'm sorry if I didn't say that right, said in this in that 70s show, it was funnier and more genuine. That 90s show missed the mark on the smoke sesh, which I totally agree. And I think that also full circle moment comes from the characters also not being like super well built out. And we're just meeting them for the first time. I wasn't bought in. Brooke Mary Z said, where are the disabled stoners that use it as medicine? Representation would be great. Considering most people are disabled or might be using weed medicinally, we are successful and not lazy. I think that's such a good point. And even beyond, that 90s show, because like I said, I definitely think there's places where they did get it more accurately and just places where it might need some work. And just as a whole, I've seen so many shows and movies and, even just like social media posts, like a ton of companies apparently have posts lined up for 420. And, they're ones that have nothing to do with weed, like usually are actually opposing weed sometimes. Like, I mean, seriously, come on, friends. Like, let's be about it in more ways than one. So, a lot of people are kind of like jumping on this bandwagon and it's like not so genuine. And I think that comes off and a lot of people do smoke weed. And that's the thing. There isn't really just like one type of stoner. There isn't like one type of person who smokes weed. And I feel like it's becoming so much more than just this one stereotype. So I definitely agree and think that there does need to be just, maybe less sensationalism and maybe more depiction of other people. Highly Angie says, it's crazy that stoners never get to be regular characters. Hello, we have personalities and are as diverse as any other group. Absolutely. I mean, everyone has a very similar theme here. I want to see a stoner in a movie, TV show that saves the day and is super productive and smart. Okay, I would totally watch like a Marvel movie about a superhero that smokes weed. Please give me that. Please make them a woman and it be this like badass stoner chick who has to save the day. Oh my God, that would be the best thing ever. Or like a quirky TV show. I personally would watch this. Okay. Who Let Me Be a Mom says, I agree there's people out here trying to end stereotypes. Things like this can make it worse. She also said it's not realistic. A lot of stoners are also portrayed as lazy, and that's just not true. I mean, all of these points are just completely on point. Hi. We're halfway through this joint and it feels nice. We're vibing. We have a candle lit. We've got some coffee. We've got some comments. More people just said, like 100 emoji, same girl. Yeah. So I just want to see, and there can be just different depictions of people who use weed and smoke and like, maybe they're not always even smoking. And I think that there's just there needs to be just more evolution here. I think that a lot of storylines can really have more, niche writing when it comes to these kind of characters who do consume weed. And I think it would be much better representation. And you're just going to open yourself up constantly to new audiences and people who can relate and say, hey, like, I also feel that way and do that too. And it's not just like, this one image constantly. And I think it's ultimately a disservice in the long run. I mean, the weed that they're smoking is literally from the 70s. At least that's what they allude to. And so it really wouldn't even be that strong. Like they're smoking it, what, 20 years later? And she's like hallucinating and seeing this whole other like trippy scene with Red and Kitty as these like Donkey Kong characters. I just like, I can't buy that. And so I would love to see just a more genuine representation in the media, a more diverse representation in the media, because ultimately, I mean, I feel like a lot of people in Hollywood and writers' rooms enjoy weed. And, you know, here in LA and California, we do have the luxury of being able to enjoy it more maybe than other people in other parts of the country and the world. And so I feel like it's also kind of our responsibility to, you know, have different conversations and diverse conversations and show what other, you know, people can look like as stoners. And it's not always, you know, like a quote unquote stoner. So that's just how I felt. I wanted to come on here, share some thoughts. I saw a lot of other people when I shared it in my Instagram stories felt similarly. And if you do too, I would love to hear it in the comments and what other shows or movies that you've seen that think really get it right or just don't and totally miss the mark. And you know what also you love to watch when you're high, because that's a whole other topic, which I would love to talk to some friends about. I texted one today and was like, oh my God, I would love for you to come on and talk about, you know, your favorite shows and movies to watch when you're high, because I could go on for so long. That 90s show is literally one of them. I mean, one night when we were watching them, I had taken so many edibles and I was laughing so hard. So, I mean, objectively, it might not actually, I don't know how good it really is. But when you're on a bunch of edibles and take, you know, like a bong rip or something, I feel like you could really vibe with it at least. Speaking of which, I'm going to take a dab and then I'm going to dip. Thank you all for joining a quick solo episode of Send Us Flowers. I will have a guest on later this week, Hailey Angie. I'm so excited for you all to meet her if you haven't yet, or just get to know her better if you do know her. She's an awesome stoner mom. She's super crafty and she has her own podcast too and is a comedian. So stay tuned and thanks for joining again. You all have been like running up a ton of views. I want to get, you know, a little more personal in here, do more solo podcasts, and just keep hanging out with you all because this has been a vibe. I don't know if you all saw, but we're literally on episode, I think this will be 43, and that feels really cool. And I just really appreciate it and you all being here. And now I'm just like kind of ripped. And I'm also on my period, so I'm kind of emotional. Welcome to my podcast. Thanks for being here. Don't you want to subscribe now? Okay. I said I was going to take a dab. So I also want to get better at telling you all what I smoke because I smoke a lot. And right now I have this cream of the crop. It's pretty good. It's very terpy. And it's a nice, like, flavorful sauce. I'm going to use the iSpire today. And then I have my hot knife, as always. Ah! That's my barking. So I really am going to have to go after this dab because my parking is up. That scared the shit out of me. You all can see on video. Also, my dab tool definitely died. The hot knife is dead. That's the one annoying part about all these little gizmos and gadgets is that they're really cool until they die. And I'm literally earlier today, we were discussing how I'm always the friend that has a dead phone, which is true. Okay, let's see if the iSpire has battery. It does. Oh my God, we're gonna get to take a dab finally. Okay, if you are smoking along, cheers. And if you're not, this dab is for you. I think it takes like 20-ish seconds for it to heat up. Oh my gosh, you can hear the rain outside. It's pouring right now. It's apparently like snowing and hailing in places. Like, what the fuck? I don't know if it's heated up yet. Okay, there we go. It usually beeps. That is excellent. Okay, I had to put some other random stuff in here. I don't even know what it is. Tastes really good though. It's mystery stuff, but it's yummy. All right. Thanks for joining. Let me know if you watched that 90s show and, you know, if you caught any other scenes that you thought were a little like, I don't know about that. And any other TV shows or movies that you think did it well or not. Let me know in the comments. And thanks for hanging out. I will see you all later this week. Bye.